Soy muy aburrida. Estoy caliente. ¿Este zumo es sin preservativos? Mistakes are absolutely essential in the learning process. Most of them are harmless, and people will generally understand what you mean. But some can put you in a bit of an awkward situation. Today, we'll take a look at 7 of the most common and very funny mistakes that Spanish learners often make and what to say instead to avoid them. Yo soy aburrida. I've heard this so many times in my Spanish lessons. Yo soy aburrido or aburrida if you're a girl doesn't mean I'm bored, but rather I'm boring. Poor thing. If you want to say I'm bored, you need to get rid of the verb ser and use estar instead. So the correct form to say I'm bored is yo estoy aburrido or aburrida. Estoy embarazada. One of my students said to another student, estoy muy embarazada y es culpa de tu hermano. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I looked at her closely to see if a small curve protruded from her narrow figure. It didn't look like. Then I looked at her friend who found that information very funny because she couldn't stop laughing. I said, "Are you sure about what you're saying?" Okay. Then I realized what was happening. She didn't mean that she was pregnant, which is what she really said, but that she was embarrassed because her friend's brother had played a prank on her. To say that in Spanish, we say estoy avergonzado or qué vergüenza. Estoy caliente. Careful. Some physical sensations like being hot, cold, or hungry work differently in Spanish. Saying yo estoy caliente actually means I am sexually aroused. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to say that when you rush into your Spanish class after running from the bus stop, do you? Instead, we need to use the verb tener, to have, and a noun. So the correct form for I'm hot would be tengo calor. And I'm hungry would be tengo hambre. ¿Este zumo es sin preservativos? Another potentially embarrassing false friend in Spanish is the word preservativos. It obviously looks like preservatives in English, but it actually means condoms in Spanish. So if you're trying to avoid preservatives in food or drinks, better not to say sin preservativos, because you're saying without condoms. Instead, you should say sin conservantes. ¿Este zumo es sin conservantes? Quiero introducirte a mi amigo. In this phrase, it can be easily deduced that a person is trying to say, I want to introduce you to my friend. However, introducir doesn't work in this situation, as it means to introduce, but in the sense of to insert, to put something inside. So what this person is saying is, I want to put my friend inside you. What you should say instead is, quiero presentarte a mi amigo. ¿Puedo tener un café, por favor? In Spanish, we don't say puedo tener to order in a restaurant or to ask someone to give us something. Actually, we use puedo tener to ask for permission to own something. For example, mamá, ¿puedo tener un perro? Which means, Mom, can I have a dog? When you want to ask for something, poner is the most common verb to order in a bar or restaurant in Spain. In other countries, it is also frequent to use dar in this context. For example, ¿me pones un café, por favor? Or if you are in a supermarket, ¿me das una bolsa, por favor? Él está bueno. This one is also very common, I'm afraid. Él está bueno means attention, he is hot, or he's sexy. However, if you say él es bueno, you mean that he's a good person or he's good at something. Or maybe you want to say he's okay, he's fine. In that case, we never say él es bien, which is another very common mistake. Bien only works with estar, so the correct form would be él está bien. Using ser and estar correctly is one of the most common mistakes non-native Spanish speakers make. Even if you don't see the differences very clearly, native speakers do. And if you use the wrong word, it's likely to lead to an awkward moment. So, have you ever said any of this? Or something else that had a completely different meaning of what you meant? If so, leave us a comment below. That's all for now. I hope you took note of all these mistakes for your next conversations in Spanish. Thanks for watching and see you again soon.
If you learned something new from this video, give it a thumbs up. Then, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications. Have a look around our channel for more hacks and tips. And if you're watching on another social media platform, like or follow our page. See you next time.